Piers Morgan, who very fittingly used to work for CNN, he took over Larry King's time slot back in 2011. Later launching his own show, Piers Morgan Uncensored on YouTube, which was in the past distributed by Fox Nation as well. That's Fox News' paid subscription service, where he complains that there isn't enough censorship on the internet. Very upset when Alex Jones was restored to Twitter, to X by Elon Musk, saying that Alex Jones spews hate speech and that he's a monster. And yesterday, he became completely speechless after Lilly Gaddis taught him what free speech really is. Lilly Gaddis, you may recall, is that cute girl who got canceled last year, fired from her job, doxxed, harassed after a TikTok video she made went mega viral because she was using some ghetto slang that involved the little N-word, and hundreds of thousands of people who suffer from black fragility on TikTok had a total meltdown. And instead of apologizing and cowering away, she stood her ground and has been hosting a show on Gavin McInnes's censored.tv. And poor Piers Morgan had no idea what he was getting into when he invited her on the show.
Why would you want to support a white racist?
Because I want to support free speech, and you cannot have free speech in a country.
No, that's fine. You can support free speech, but you also have to be accountable for what you say. Would you use the N-word out of interest?
Yes.
You would?
I do, quite frequently.
You use the N-word quite frequently. Well, why? Other than the fact you're a despicable racist. Are you?
Because, Piers, it's a word in the English language, and we use words to describe things. And as Chris Rock famously stated decades ago, it describes a certain kind of behavior within the black community.
To be clear, you just said to me you use the N-word regularly. In what context? Do you use it with black people?
Yes, if it's appropriate.
When would it be appropriate to use the N-word?
Black people.
When would it be appropriate?
Anytime I feel like it.
So you're an unashamed racist?
Correct.
Well, do you understand that makes you a despicable human being?
I guess so. I don't really care.
But then things got even better because Piers Morgan made the same mistake that the social justice warrior who was videotaping Shiloh Hendricks made, where he tried to bait her into saying it, like daring her to say it, thinking that she wouldn't. And then this happened.
You've been so unashamedly proud of being a racist today, proud of using the N-word whenever you feel like it. You've had a bit of time to think about this. Is that how you want people to leave this panel debate?
We have lived for far too long in a country where you can have your life destroyed, and people say, oh, she doesn't need this money. Her life's destroyed, by the way. She'll never be able to get another job. She's got children to have to support. And I don't want to live in a country where you can say an inappropriate, rude thing, which, by the way, black people can say things to white people all the time, and they never get canceled. There's no backlashing about this. I want to live in a country where people are allowed to say what they want unashamedly, and you will
well, go
not
on, then
have
say it. Say
you
the
will
M-
not have
Go on,
free
say
speech.
go on. Say the N-word. Go on.
No.
Hang on.
Don't invite. No.
No.
I don't want you to invite this woman to say a racially harmful term in front of me, because I'm the only on here. So if she says it, I'm the victim of it. So please don't invite her for ratings to call me the N-word, because that's basically what it's going to be. There's a bunch of white people up here. You and one Uncle Tom on the left here, and to ask her to say the N-word while I'm here is ridiculous.
That's MarC Lamont Hill, by the way, having a total meltdown and almost in tears, saying that he would be a victim if he just heard the word. And there is no doubt in my mind that she was about to say it because, like she said, she uses it regularly on her own show. And the other guy, that's Myron Gaines, who's holding up a banner that has the N-word on it. I think it's like one of those clown guns that shoots out a banner with a word on it. And the word is the little word. But then Piers Morgan, uncensored, censored the word. It is not like Piers Morgan would have this video taken down for something that a guest did or said like that. He's kind of in a different set of rules. He did it because he's afraid that the audience would be triggered like MarC Lamont Hill and have a heart attack. Then people started posting memes about the situation, like this one.
Would you use the N-word out of interest?
Yes.
You would?
I do, quite frequently.
Yeah. Stay tuned because there's plenty more to come in this video, but real quick, subscribe to my channel if you're new here because I think it's obvious at this point. You're not going to find another YouTuber like me anywhere else. And society has gotten so soft and they've baked that softness and that wokeness into all of the artificial intelligence systems out there, with the exception mostly of Grok, Twitter, Elon's ChatGPT version. But this is ChatGPT, and I just said, generate a list of some common racial slurs against black people, and it refuses. So it's so woke that it won't even mention them. I can't help with that. If you're researching racism, discrimination, or hate speech for an academic or awareness purpose, I can provide context about the history and impact of racial slurs or guide you through how such language has been used to marginalize groups without listing slurs directly. Would you like me to help with that? I'm not even going to show the countless videos of those suffering from black fragility, crying and complaining about a white person on planet Earth using the little word because I just don't have time to edit out all of their cussing. But this woman, I think, sums up the situation very well.
It is not because you are black. I repeat, it is not because you are black. It is because you lack morals, self-respect, and character. You are loud, you are obnoxious, disrespectful, with very little regard for anyone else. You don't just tolerate dysfunction, you defend it, you protect the degenerates, and then you try to silence anyone who is calling for accountability. You let the worst of the community become the face of the community, and then you get upset when the world treats you like we are all degenerates. And then you want people to care about black lives. When black people kill more black people than anyone, we are first in line to get an abortion. And the children that are actually in the community, they can't even read. And then instead of holding accountability for the things that are actually going on in our community, we scapegoat white people. White people that have nothing to do with what is going on within the black community. So if it is because you're black, thank other black people.
And this Shiloh Hendricks situation is causing all sorts of old, fantastic clips to recirculate. Of course, you're never going to see these on any of the brand name corporate conservative networks like the Daily Wire or The Blaze or PragerU. Many of them I have been showing here on this channel for years. You may recall this woman.
I'm not going to say I'm sorry to them because they kept pushing at it. So, and that's all I'd really like to say.
What about your use of the N-word?
I used that word because they forced me into it.
Do you see how that's incredibly offensive?
Yes, I do. That's why I said it.
And speaking of racism, more specifically anti-whiteism, because the term racism, as regular viewers know, is a cultural Marxist buzzword designed to make people think that it's white people doing something against non-white people. But of course, racism is a two-way street, but since everyone has been conditioned to believe that it only goes one way, the term anti-whiteism should be used when describing the specific kind of anti-white racism. And it was discovered on Facebook that 90% of the hate speech that was taken down from the AI and posts that were flagged was literally hate speech against white people and men. So the crazy feminists and the rabid anti-white black supremacists and disgruntled black people comprised the vast majority, almost all of the hate speech that is posted on Facebook. So of course, this study was spun as if the algorithm was unfairly just flagging that and ignoring actual racism against black people and BIPOCs, blacks, indigenous, and people of color. But obviously, just like 13% of the population commits 50% of the violent crime. We all know this by now, right? The 13% also comprise 90%, or probably 70%. The other 20% is the rabid feminists. We'll go safe 70% of the hate speech on Facebook. Tony Robbins, the success strategist, the mind coach, the self-help guru, who is a personal hero of mine, who I actually met once many years ago in what is the most bizarre coincidence of my life. What I believe was divine intervention. I won't get into it now, but a very strange set of circumstances happened which caused our paths to cross. But 45 years ago, he was doing these seminars in order to help people condition their mind and break habits and overcome their fears. And this segment went viral a few years ago. This was in 1980, where he was trying to teach black people to get over their black fragility. Because he was using the little N-word to illustrate his point to try to help them, he was targeted for cancellation. Tony Robbins reportedly filmed using racial slurs in Surface video from the 1980s. Imagine trying to cancel someone for trying to help black people 40 years ago get over their black fragility.
And I said to him, I said, you know what? as long as, I'd like to help you, and you may not want the help, but I want to offer you something. As long as somebody can turn to you and by their skin or by what they say, take control of you, then what happens is you never will be free. Your issue is freedom, clearly. As long as a man can look at you and say, the whole room went, it's as long as somebody can do that, as long as somebody's called you get that kind of response I see in you right now, when you're ready to explode, then what you've done is given that person absolute control of you. You have no control in your life. You are still a slave. I said, you are. Well, you're being enslaved by you and nothing else. And I said, I'd like to have you be free because I'm free and I'm white. So why don't you pretend that we're going to get you free right now? And I suggest here's the way to do it. Everyone stand up. And we'll let you be born. I said, stand up. Come on, try something with me. Trust me just for a moment. Pretend I'm black. I get him to stand up, right? Now I'll stand up. I said, now you guys just do what I do just for a minute if you really want to be free and if you want to have some fun. So let's try this. I stood up and I said, okay, follow me. Do what I say what I say, move the way I move. I'm a you're I like being to be a ooh, be a The audience is like, pretty soon these other guys are like this, start laughing. As soon as they do it, I go, come on, try it. You know, come on. What I gotta do? Laughing, giggling, saying, what I'm doing, changing the what? Anchor. Changing the nerve association.
If you're not familiar with Tony's work, he was using neuroassociative conditioning, which is a form of cognitive behavioral therapy, to rewire the associations in the people's brains to the words, obviously, to break those negative patterns, thought patterns, when they hear it. And maybe Tony needs to start holding this seminar again in black communities across the country, because obviously there is a massive problem with black fragility these days. And at this point, I think it's overdue for me to update the definition of black fragility, which I came up with several years ago, describing it as the discomfort and defensiveness on the part of some black people who live in a predominantly white culture due to fixating on long since past injustices, which they never experienced and weren't experienced by anyone in their family alive today, causing them to imagine racism where none exists and pine away for living in a culture that is predominantly black instead. This is totally accurate, but it needs to be expanded to include their absolute meltdowns and using it just as leverage, their fake outrage over the N-word to leverage power over white people. And I think I'm going to have to leave another link to Shiloh Hendricks' Give, Send, Go page down in the description below and in the comments, because it is rapidly approaching $750,000, $750,000. And if you want to support my work, then join my locals community for $5 a month. It's a subscription-only blog where I can post uncensored videos and commentary. So click the link in the description below, head on over there, and check it out.